Hey everybody, it's Mike. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to this channel, I'm doing a restoration on a Case 1840 skid steer I picked up a couple years back. We're going through the entire machine and fixing everything and doing a cosmetic restoration as well. But it's been a few weeks because I've been waiting on some hydraulic hoses. I'm able to reuse these hoses that were previously replaced on the machine, but I wanted to get some hose protection to put on it first, and then some of the other hoses that I've been waiting on I got here, and I also got some hose protection for that. This machine had pretty much all the hoses replaced on it, but unfortunately due to rubbing, about 90% of them needed replaced again. It's only been a couple of years, so I'm gonna invest a little bit of extra money into the hose protection and hopefully to prevent that in the future. But first thing we need to do is get the hydraulic hoses on the twin pump here that go from the twin pump down to the wheel motors. So there's wheel motor on each side. These connect to this wheel motor and vice versa, so they cross over. It's really difficult to get the hose protection on afterwards, so I want to put it on before. I need to grab the right hose here. I think this blue one with the blue zip tie is the first one I want to put on. And I believe this is the size that I bought to wrap these with. You can start in the center. I think I'm just gonna, since this is a short one, just start on one end and weave it on down, because I can just cut it off close to the end. All right, then I'll have to clean up the cut a little bit. Okay. Now I'll do the rest of those, and I'll bring you back when we go to install these. I'm finishing up my last wheel motor hose here. This stuff substantially increases the diameter. This plastic covering is pretty thick, probably an 1/8 inch at least. So it increases it probably 1/4 inch overall easily. All right, I'm going to start with this port marked the light blue here. This is kind of hard for you guys to see, but it hooks into this top port of the wheel motor. And I'm going to leave all of these loose until I can get them all in or situated where I want them. I'm just going to snug them up hand tight. All right, second one on this side. They kind of bend or U under the bell housing here. So it looks like it's straight, but let's see if okay, it's going. I just couldn't get it to turn by hand. Make sure I can still get in there with a wrench and tighten that bottom one. I'm going to go ahead and get the other side started now. So it goes underneath to the bottom port of the wheel motor. There we go. I got it started. See if you guys can see what I just did. So those two lines, that one and that one, I got started. There's still a drain off the wheel motor, case drain. Those I'll get hooked up last. Yeah, kind of figure this. I'm going to take this one off to get the one underneath it tight. I need to get something to hold that while I'm tightening it. I'd love to have a set of those Tecton service wrenches or the special angle wrenches. I just haven't been willing to part with that much money yet. But I would be able to get into these spots a little easier. I'm making do with what I have. So I loosen this fitting so I can rotate it down a little bit. It's rubbing on a bracket under here. That's why you noticed it rotating. Fighting the jaws being too wide, and it's grabbing both this one and that one at the same time. Pretty sure I was able to get on both of these without taking them loose. Kind of test fitted these earlier before I put the hose protection on. I have no idea how much you guys can see, but right now the name of the game is to get the job done. I have to go back to that one underneath. It's snug, but I don't know how I feel about it just yet. It's super hot outside. Even though I have the AC on in here, I'm sweating like a pig. Alright, got that one good. I was able to come from this side with my press it in a little bit of an angle and get another bite on that lower hose, and I feel good about, I get it another quarter turn, I feel good about that. So I know those are both on there good and tight. Still got the other side to do. Let's see, I'm gonna do the lower hose first. I'm gonna do the neon green, which would be this one. Neon green and red, yep, that's right. Oh, it goes to pink one. Get it started a little bit more. Well, that needs to go underneath, actually. I need to take that back off. I can't get that on there. Yep, wrong way. Tell you what, that hose protection sure takes a lot of valuable space up. I'll put this back on there before I run it under areas that might have dirt in it. It's pouring oil out. Dang it. All over the floor. All right, getting these tightened down over there is becoming more of a challenge than I had anticipated. So I'm gonna try to kind of get this into position to know which ones I can take loose and tighten back up. Alright, so that's gonna go there. And then, see, I hope I'm really struggling for space with all this hose protection on. Get this one on this side on and see how we can manage on the other side. I think I might have to take this back off again. I don't know. Probably. It's hard to get you a good shot, but it's these wheel motor connectors right down there. I don't know where to route this second hose, whether it should go on top or bottom of everything down there. There's just not a lot of extra real estate under the bell housing anymore. So I loosened the lock nut on this fitting and I've rotated it down to give me a little bit better angle on this hose. So I'm gonna see if I can get this hose started now. It's probably got all kinds of oil in it also, but I got the drain pan under there and there's a hole right here in the belly of the machine it can just drain right into. I think I actually have it started here. Kind of surprised at that. These guys, well, really not even that crammed right here, but the wrench is just too long. It hits the bottom of the pump, and then over here it hits these hoses. There. I had to turn the camera off because of frustration. Had a lot of issues with access because I'm using those crescent wrenches just way too big for the job. Had to take the lines on and off several times. I even had to take the fitting loose on the motor and rotate it to get room to tighten it. So if you don't have the proper angle wrenches or any of the service wrenches or crow's foot, you're pretty much trying to find the hose order that you can actually take things loose, which would be a nightmare if you were doing a repair on just one hose. You'd probably have to take 2 or 3 other hoses loose just to get to that one, unless you had those special angle wrenches. And even with those angle wrenches, I don't know. I'm sure it would give you some other access points that I don't have. But all in all, right now, I have all of the drive motor hoses on and tight. And the last 2 hoses I need to put on are the supply to the pump, the main supply, and the main return from the pump. And I'm going to go get the hose protection put on that right now, and then I'll bring you back when I get ready to put it on. All right, got the hose protection on. I'm a little short, but the ends I think aren't real close to anything. I'm going to start with the return. Have a plug in the end here, and I'm going to fish it along the side of the frame since that's kind of where I have some opening at, and it goes kind of up and towards the loader control valve over there, or not the loader control valve, but that aluminum plate that bolts to the side of the machine. So it goes from that port back to this aluminum block. This aluminum block here. So we'll take this off. And I think these 2 left are for the cooler. I think I need to rotate that down a little bit. Yeah, that fitting is kind of frozen. There we go. I think I got it routed the way I like now. Kind of coming beside the oil pan on this side. And then I'm going to put just a hair bit of downward angle on it to get it away from those lines. I do got hose protection on it, kind of right there, but if we don't have to have it rubbing, we won't. And we got some gap there. It kind of runs a little closer to the oiler pan than I like down there. But looking at the pictures, that's exactly how it ran before, and the hose is the length of the what the repair manual says. So need to get a wrench in there and get that tightened up. That doesn't go big enough. Yeah, see, this is where it's like, man, there's just not a whole lot of options to get in there. Get it as tight as I can by hand first. So you could have a crow's foot from the top. I don't have any crow's feet this big. It's bigger than 1 inch, so almost everything I have is too small. It's just, I don't know. I have to think about that one. All right, onto the supply hose. This is probably the largest hose on the machine. I think it's a dash 16, I think it is. Yep, dash 16. And it connects to, again, that block. It comes down from the filter, Y's into the block, but then it keeps going into this hose here. So I'm gonna unscrew the little cap. I just can't get you guys in here, it's too tight. So I apologize for the lack of being able to see really what I'm hooking up here. All right, so it goes to this fitting right here. This is the, like I said, the inlet to the pump, the main supply. And I think it goes kind of under this. I'm not real sure. Kind of depends on where the rollers ride, if they roll on the bottom here or on the top here. I need to investigate that a little bit before I snug that up. So I think the back rollers of the cab roll under this lip. So as it rolls forward, the lip keeps it from tilting forward. So it needs to be able to get in between here, from what I can tell. Again, I'm going to have trouble figuring out a way to clean that, or tighten that back one. This one here, I should be able to get with no problem. But I think I'm going to focus on getting it something like that in between the mount and the side there. Should give it enough room to do what it needs to do. And we can get this one tight. This one not tight. Look, here I thought I tightened all these. I just, I guess, dropped the ball on that one. All right, and I can get that 90 back there, kind of something like that. It gives me plenty of room for the cab to slide by. I don't see any way to tighten that other than a crow's foot. I'm probably going to have to buy a couple crow's feet to get into there. Getting down to the last few hoses for the powertrain. This is a case drain coming back from the motors here. It goes back comes from the wheel motors and then back to the return line. And I think I was the one who broke it. This is the oil temperature, hydraulic oil temperature. Senses once it gets to 220, 225, it grounds it and turns the warning light on. So we're going to have to find one of those. It looks like 1/4 inch national pipe thread. Case wants about $160 for that. Hoping to find that cheaper than that amount. That seems pretty high for what it is. And then this line came off of here, and it's got, again, fairly new line, but all these big rub marks on it. So I got a new one of those, and I believe that goes straight down to this motor here. So there's a case drain on the side of the motor. If you don't know what a case drain is for a hydraulic motor, is when all the pressure goes through the motor for the driving, anything that leaks past the internals goes to the outside and it needs to be drained off so it doesn't blow the seals out. And I still can't get you a good shot in there. You can barely see the case drain cap right down there. I'm going to take that cap off and then put this hose on it. I blew out this hose. But to me it looks like this hose is just too long maybe. Or I need to change the angle of that fitting down there, one of the two, because it's not going to work too well. I'm going to get some hose protection on that first as well. All right, got my hose protection on. Going to go down to the motor again, try to get it started. All right. So yeah, that's no wonder it rubbed so bad. It's up against, I don't know if rotating that fitting, I think to the left would get that out of the way a little bit. I don't like that at all. That's especially unless I rotate that down a little bit, which is not how it was. Leave that loose. See if I can figure out something better routing wise. I mean, I got the hose protection on it, it'd probably be okay. I just don't like it. This contact in here. All right, and then on the end here, we have the other case drain for the other wheel motor. This is the only other hose other than those 4 to the wheel motors that I'm reusing. Every other one had rubbing damage. So put this into place here to see how it fits. I'm gonna carefully set this in here so I don't get any debris in there. All right, I was able to get down there with 11/16 wrench and rotate that fitting this way to get it off of there. So I'm happy with that now. I'll snug this line up. I still got to deal with the fitting on the other end because I don't like the way it's sitting in there either. Alright, I was able to get onto the drain case fitting over on the right hand motor there and get it rotated into a position that I liked. So I'm just going to snug this up here. I'll get a grip on this whole housing so I can tighten it to where I think it should be. It's trying to rotate the whole thing here. All right. There we go. That should be good for all of the powertrain. Hydraulic lines for the motors, return and supply for the pump, return for the case drains, and I think that's going to be it for the powertrain. I'll figure out what I need here. So the next part of this video is going to be rebuilding this pump. This pump runs the loader lift and tilt and the auxiliary hydraulics completely separate from the drivetrain. We're actually going to go back in time to where I rebuilt this because this is a completed project and it just didn't fit real well in any of the videos that I had coming out at that time. Okay, so this is the pump that drives all the loader controls. It mounts on the rear of the machine, kind of where the rear engine mount is. It's driven off the crankshaft. It is a Danfoss pump. I called them and gave them the number off the tag, and they were telling me they're not able to provide me with a seal kit. It looks like this pump's been leaking around the shaft. The splines are really good, which is a common problem on here. I've already taken the suction line off and the pressure line fitting here, so at a minimum I'll replace that, but I'd like to get this front off of here to see if I can just get a number off the seal on the shaft. Maybe I can cross it with something aftermarket. Mark the housing. I'd prefer to keep the lower section of this all together. be in pretty good shape. Everything looks real good. Kind of concerned how much shaft wear there was, but doesn't look like it's terrible. And the seal looks like it comes out the front actually. So I'm gonna hit that out of there, see if I can get a number off of it. Does not want to come out of there. Actually, I moved it some. Okay. Let's see here. Yep, it's coming. Not seeing any numbers on it, but it doesn't look like anything too special to me. Should be able to measure the OD and ID and come up with a part number for that. Just need to check this O-ring here. I really should replace those, but I don't know that I can find a proper O-ring to replace it. That one's in there pretty snug. This, oof, that's not good. I just noticed we got some, yeah, that's not good at all. I don't know if you guys can see that. Well, I'm going to see if I can maybe polish that out. That's really all there is to it, other than taking this fitting off, and it's looks like it's got a little damage on the seat there. I don't think I did that. It's probably going to have to be replaced. Kind of depends on where the line seats, if it's inboard of that or not. Alright, I got everything cleaned up and laid out here. One thing that I always seem to run into when I'm rebuilding stuff that I always fight is anytime there's a radial shaft seal that seals oil, You always have to watch out for grooves in the shaft. Now, this one's not bad, but they make things called speedy sleeves, thin sleeves that can press over here. If it's real minor, a lot of times, similar to this, you can just take some sandpaper and get it out, but you have to watch out what grit sandpaper that you're using. There's an actual surface finish measurement. There's a couple different ones. One of them is RA, I think it stands for roughness average, and it basically is a measurement of the average of the peaks and valleys. So imagine you have your radial seal, this is the old one, and you use sandpaper on this, but you get it too rough, it actually will damage the seal. Now, interestingly enough, you can get this too smooth. So if you use like 2000 grit sandpaper, it won't hold enough oil, and it actually can cause damage to the seal as well. So from what I have found, most radial seals, and here's the new one, I'll give you the part number here in a minute, like about a 350 to 400 grit sandpaper. And you might have to start off a little more aggressive. As long as you don't take more than probably 5 thousandths off the entire diameter, you're probably going to be okay. Anything more than that, you're probably going to need a speedy sleeve. But I couldn't find a part number on the old original seal, but I measured it and came up with a national 471267, and it matches up. It's the right diameter, inside diameter, thickness, slightly different profile on the outside, but it's a double lip with the inside spring, so it shouldn't be a problem there. And then for the O-ring here, these I measured and found that O-rings are in dash numbers, so a dash 041, which is a 3-inch inside diameter by, I think it's a 1/16 cross section, so that's the thickness. I got these from McMaster Car, and they have a number on GR 470041. So the 041 is like dash 041. I got 2 of them pulled out here, and they kind of stretch them in a little bit, but they go in and seal. You can feel it great. The kind of overhangs, which is what you want. So that should work. Only thing I'm reusing is this little blue seal that sits in here. I was able to find a rebuild kit. It was an aftermarket kit, but it was $200. That seems crazy for that little bit. I probably have under $20 in that stuff right there. And then the little bit of a scoring in here, I cleaned it up with some 400 grit sandpaper. It's not terrible. I think the pump will be just fine, at least for my use. I'm not going to worry about that right now. This pump, and just so you know, this pump part number is, it's actually on the face here and on this tag. It is 874-13847. That's right there. So and these are the thrust plates. They're in good shape. There's really nothing that's going to prevent me from rebuilding this, but where I was getting with on this, I'm going to throw this, I know, in my lathe. I know most people don't have a lathe, but you could carefully chuck this maybe in a drill press wouldn't be big enough, but you can do it by hand. But anyway, you can spin this to polish that out. And you want to get down in here where the journal is. You just got to stay up here on the bearing surface. But let's go bring this over to the lathe and get that polished out, and then we'll start putting this together. Okay, I'm over here on my Hendy lathe. I'm going to get this carriage out of the way, and I'm going to chuck it on the spline end because that's the least chance of damage. Not going to hurt if I nick it a little bit. And I got 400 grit sandpaper. I'm going to try to stay off the journal. Just polish that seal surface up. Get some more RPM here. I'm going to find something slightly more aggressive. You can still see it's polished, but you can still see there's two inner and outer lip of the seal. Still got a slight mark on there. Okay, got it all polished up. Groove is completely gone. I measured difference between a unworn area and where I polished it. I took off 2.5 thousandths. So there's plenty of flexibility in that to not cause a problem at all. There's a little bit of wear on the splines, but not bad enough to justify replacing the whole pump. By the time the scoring in the pump there becomes an issue, I'll probably need to replace it because of these splines anyway. But there's plenty of service life in this, especially the amount that I'm going to use this machine. I doubt I'll even put 100 hours a year on it. So we're ready to go back together, and I'll get it mounted in the vise and bring you along with me. Okay, I'm going to start with the I guess the back of the pump, I'd call it. And then there's a thrust plate. It goes like that. I'm gonna use a lot of just engine oil to lubricate. This machine runs 1030 for hydraulic fluid, so that should be good. Now the new -041 size O-ring. And then before I took this apart, I staked, so 2 little notches on that. So that'll go like that. But I'm gonna go ahead and drop the gears in. There's some hash marks. They went, both of them, the bottoms have hash marks on them, so those both go down. Now the main body. Lubricant in here. All right. this part, this is I guess the front of the pump, goes on next. There's also a wear plate that goes on here, but you got to get the seal in there. There's a little hole drilled through, which certain lubricates the either the seal and or this bearing. Here's my new seal. Let's get something that fits the diameter of that so we can, or that's the old seal. We might even be able to use the, no, yeah, the old seal to push in the new seal. Let's try that. I'm a little concerned about going too deep and blocking that cutout, so. So using the old seal and just tapping it flush with the outside still leaves enough a gap between the hole and the flange of the seal to allow this lubrication hole to still be open. You can still blow in through that. So this is all good. I'm going to use some Vaseline to hold in this piece. This is the only one we're reusing. But based on the cost of our seal kit here that we put together, I don't think this is going to be any problem. It still sticks above. No problem. The seal to this plate here. Put some more Vaseline to hold this plate down. Go. And I'll put some Vaseline in the seal groove, or the O-ring groove, since I'm turning this one upside down. I'll hold that in there a little better. Lubricate the shaft. Very important, lubricate your seal. And probably these splines so it doesn't damage the seal. I'll have to clean this all back off. Work your seal in a circle so it doesn't rip. There we go. Just like that. Alright, I'm going to try to get a couple bolts started on the bottom here to hold everything in alignment so it doesn't shift on me. And then I'm going to turn it around and clamp it upside down. I don't know if anyone caught it, but I made a huge mistake and did not put in these dowels here. Those line up the body of the whole unit. So, very important. That would have been really bad. Let's go here. Go. And this bolt. Find my other bolt and we'll torque that down. Okay, found my other bolt, and I actually don't have a torque. I'm just going to do what feels right, because Case and or Dan Foss doesn't seem to want to recognize that this pump is serviceable. So this will flip it out of there. And I checked this dent, which I didn't put in there. It clears the sealing surface of the female flare. So I'm lucky on that one. And I have a new O-ring for that. Those are special Boss O-ring size. I have a whole kit of them. You can buy it on Amazon for 20 bucks or so. Definitely worth it if you're going to be rebuilding one of these machines. Actually, I'll show you the kit right here. So, Boss hydraulic O-ring kit, and the biggest one in here, dash 16, fits that. The other side, that's the suction side. This should be a pressure side. Again, there's a Boss O-ring fitting, and this one's a dash 10. Put it on. Actually, I think I put the old one on. That's the old one. Get the new one. Yep. Say it felt too hard. Then once you get your orientation of the fitting, you tighten your lock nut down. I don't know what it is on this. There's an actual pressure check cap that I took off to make sure it was clean on the inside. So tighten that back up. That should wrap up the reseal. I wouldn't call it a rebuild of your Case 1840 and or 45C pump that runs the loader boom. Give this a quick coat of primer and get this baby painted and installed. And the top coat. Hey guys, I'm going to call this the end of the video. We're getting real close to getting that thing powered up and driving. I don't know if it's going to be on the wheels yet, but at least hopefully get it started and engage the motors and try to bleed it out. I got 15 gallons of Mobil 10W30 which is, this is a diesel rated oil, and that's what's suggested for the hydraulics. It should be enough for the tank and the chain cases. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll be getting another video out here soon. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe, and we'll see you the next time.